everyone to this week's Skippy track guide at Virginia International Raceway, or VIR for short. And this is the Grand West layout, which is, I believe, the longest configuration that this has. I might be wrong on that one, but anyway, it's got a tricky little infield rather than a lovely long back straight, which is catching me out a few times. Not gonna lie, there's some few blind corners in there, and a few tricky braking zones, and a few weird corners that seem to tighten up on corner exit, which is fun to say the least. Anyway, this is a hosted section actually before the tracks switched over, and you can see right here, I'm going to show you that time first, we did a 2:53.499. Now my optimal was in the 52s, but as I say, stringing these corners together, I definitely need more practice. But there's definitely a lot of pace and a lot of time to be made up where other people were rocking a little slower lap times, and well, fingers crossed this will gain you a few seconds. Info for track is 86 Fahrenheit, which I believe is about 30 degrees. As you can see, it's a hosted session. So with that said, let's crack on. Right then, so here we are, just crossing the start finish line, and it's quite a good run down into turn 1, so be very careful. It's a tightening radius corner with not a lot of off track, so we're looking for the 2 board, and we're braking very hard at it, all the way down into first gear for me. As we pass the 1 board, start to get the car rotated, and we want to hug the inside curb as much as possible. Makes our lives a lot easier. As we pass the curb and the curb finishes, I'm back on full power. Car runs out a little bit, that's absolutely fine as long as it comes back, and you can kind of get mid-track / apex for turn 2. You're on to a winner. As I say, that is a tightening corner, so be careful of going too wide there, not to run into anyone or not to get run into. That has happened to me. Take a tear off your helmet, of course, that's going to be advisable. Turn 3 is not this little kink, it's the one after it, but we can start preparing for it. So we are still full throttle, turning into the kink. I avoid the curb as much as I can. I think I do give it a little bit of a cheeky tickle on the way past that house or building, whatever it is. As we're kind of aiming at it, straighten the wheel, brake, down to third. As the car passes centre of track, start rotating the car back to the left hand side for turn 3. Really awkward to get it turned in. I should have taken a bit more curb because it would have prevented my tyres just touching the grass here. It's good to know that you can run out there. There's a bit of leeway, no off track or anything like that, but obviously probably lost a bit of momentum. Turn 4 is a horrible little blighter. Normally I count to about 2.5 before I start braking after the curb ended on turn 3 exit. Down into first gear for this, take a bunch of curb, and we want to stay to the left as much as we can because we need to open turn 5 to be on full throttle. You can see I'm on full throttle already, and I hope that I don't lift, which I don't, which is good. It's slightly cambered, so you can get the tyres quite nicely in there, and basically we're not touching the brakes basically until turn 10, which is a hell of a long track to be full throttle on. Slipstream will be very powerful down here, particularly start finish straight. Through these S's, we're just trying to minimize steering angle and trying to straight line the Skippy. It's going to do what it does in a straight line, as I've mentioned before, so we just try and help it along the best we can. So turn 7, 8 and 9 are, again, same principle, just try and minimize them, make them as easy as possible to get through. Turn 9, this one up here, the right hander, it's going to be the trickiest on cold tyres. It's kind of full throttle. Turn 10 now, again, it's not more of a feeling of a braking point. I'm kind of braking just as the road dips down into fourth, get the car turned in quite early. I'm only using the brakes ever so gradually just to get the car starting to rotate. You don't want to minimize the car sliding. You see we've used a bit of opposite lock there. If the car's sliding, it's not going where you want, and we are losing time. We want to straight line this bit as much as we can. This is turns 11 and 12. You want to treat these as one corner. Keep it in fourth gear, might want to change it to fifth. As we get to the 2 board, you kind of want to brake quite heavily down the gears and start turning in. This first part, as I call it, which is actually turn 11, I use it as one big braking zone. If we take a bit more speed into this, it naturally runs wide, and then we're on the brakes a bit more heavily, get into first gear and meet that apex curb of turn 12. You can take a bit more, don't be worried about that. and basically you want to maximize your straight line exit here. And very long straight, very good overtaking opportunities, so you want to maximize as much as you can. So again, we're just trying to straight line it. This is uphill. You can see we're kind of flat / downhill, and then we're going uphill, so be careful of the slipstream. It's going to be a bit like Watkins Glen, turn 3, turn 4. People are going to come past you, let them, no point fighting, especially what is coming up is a very tricky corner. As we come over the brow hill, we're looking at the 3 board, and we're braking just slightly before it, very heavily in a straight line, all the way down to first gear. You don't want to apex too early here. You want to apex as late as possible. You can see my inside left tyre just locking up slightly. That's obviously just because a bit too much braking and rotation. You can see we're nowhere near the curb at the minute, and you can see we're cutting back to a nice late apex, almost when the curb finishes, to be honest. The road here seems to be very narrow, and that curve on the left hand side is horrible. The Skippy does bottom out, so be warned about that. If you're on it, you're going to be on the grass for a hell of a while. After that one, we bring the car back to the middle of the track because it helps us with this tiny little kink, which iRacing says is turn 16. If I'm reading the map right, I might not be, but you can see that we've given us a nice straight line. And this is the start of the trickiest section. This layout isn't run very often, so definitely some lap time to gain in here. So 3 board, just after it, when the road dips, you can see us coming back up. We're braking down 2 gears. 1 board, or when the curb starts on the right hand side, we start turning in. About 40-30 degree angle on the steering, and you should be hitting the curb quite nicely. Get on power, we're coming downhill only for a moment, and we're braking, still in 2nd gear, take a load of curb. No off tracks around here, luckily. Straight line it to the start of the curve on the left hand side down into 1st gear, and you kind of want to double apex this. It's tricky to explain, but you can see the car drifting out slightly, and then it comes back in to meet the curve on exit. Full throttle as early as we can. We've got a nice little bit of a straight here. There isn't really going to be overtaking opportunity, but if you do run wide, you're definitely going to lose positions here, so bear that in mind. Right, trickiest corners are even more coming up now. They're a bit more downhill, braking in a straight line. The next lot, 3rd gear, is going to be your best friend forever. So really the engine's going to be screaming its little heart out, basically. As we come over the brow and the tarmac changes, turn right a little bit and aim for the curb. As the curb starts, and you just get car length, brake in a straight line. As you come away from the curb, down to 3rd, turn in, hit this curb as much as you can. You can see there's loads of dirt on the track where people have gone straight on, but if you brake at the curb then turn in, you should be fine. All we're doing now is messing around with the throttle, lifting on the throttle to get the car rotated, get it turned in, and then basically full throttle to power out. These few next corners here, we're trying to stay nice and tight because I believe we're coming up to 20, this is 21, corner 22 where that car is up ahead. That's a tricky little one. It's quite tight, and we want to stay as far right as we can because the turn left, which is 23, is kind of almost full throttle, but again, you don't want to run too wide because you want to maximize the next one. Basically, these are a load of S's uphill, and we want to try and minimize steering angle as much as we can. So you can see us go around there. We're still in 3rd gear. The car's understeering a little bit, complaining, and then we turn it right. This is a double right-hander, so you want to run to the middle of the track, and then you can see the 2nd one coming up now. You want to kind of get this in a straight line because there is another little left kink you can see there, and you don't want to run too wide because this bit of grass just here, any more than that is a little bit of an off track, so be warned about that. As we come over the crest of the hill, I want you to spot the end of the curb. As you can see that's our braking point. Brake in a straight line, don't touch the grass on the left hand side, all the way down into 1st gear. You can take it in 2nd, I'm preferring 1st at the minute. Try and ease the steering in and get on throttle as early as we can because we've got another full throttle section coming up. Not as long as the others, but still worth gaining a few tenths on lap time. We're up into 2nd quite quickly, up into 3rd quite quickly because we begin to come downhill, so the car will be accelerating quite quickly. Bring it over to the right hand side of the track, but be careful not to run too wide. There's a horrible off track if you touch the one blade of grass over there, so may as well keep it inbounds to avoid any issues. Smoke on the left hand side, you can see it did put me off a little bit, but it's not too bad. Slight lift of throttle, turn it in for turn 28. Nip a little bit of the curve if you can, brake as they come over the brow of that sort of hill, down to third. We got a four-wheel drift going on here, but as Colin McRae said, if in doubt, flat out, which is what we do. Car grips up, we lift off again, and full throttle when the tyres all grip. So that is all the corners all over, and a very, very long straight. This is going to be a slipstream fest, as Watkin Glen was, so we warned about that. Try and get out of this guy's slipstream because we didn't want that to affect our lap time, and that is us across the line on a 2:53.490, which I believe I said 499. So yes, pretty long track. I think we're only going to get like 8 laps around here. It's going to be I think a game of survival. There's plenty of slipstream opportunities and a few tricky corners, particularly that infield. I've definitely got to practice the infield. There's going to be a lot of cars off, so just be very careful of that. As always, the full speed cockpit cam and chase cam are to follow. Let me know if this guy's helped, and what your lap times and what your races ended up being like this week. And good luck. I'll catch you on the next one.